Welcome to the Heal Your Hunger Show, where we get to the heart of why you overeat and how to stop. If you struggle with food and weight like I did, welcome home.
Welcome to the Heal Your Hunger Show. So happy to have you here. It is a great day to be alive, and I'm super excited about my topic today. If you've ever struggled with depression, which most emotional eaters have, this is a great topic for you. And I'm going to be giving you some really great practical suggestions and things that I've done to overcome depression without any pharmaceuticals or chemicals of any kind. So this is stuff you can do it right away. And it works. It really does work in my experience. And that's what I have to share with you. Now, I am recording this live from the Secret Sauce group. So if you've never been a part of Secret Sauce to End Emotional Eating, come on in. I'd love to have you join us. This is a group on Facebook. So you just go to Facebook and type in Secret Sauce to End Emotional Eating, and bam, you'll be in, and we're happy to have you. And this is a great place to go to get support from people who really want to overcome their struggles with food without going on yet another diet, without killing themselves at the gym. We're dealing with the deeper issues and really overcoming them so that we don't have to be drawn to food, compelled to eat anymore, eat things that we know aren't healthy for us. This is where you come to get support to feel better about yourself, about your body, about all your relationships, not just with food. So join us there, the Secret Sauce. And yeah, so let's get started. I want to talk to you today about what I've done to overcome depression. And, this is something I was plagued with for a long time. And depression for me was like something, it was like something was chasing me because my nature is a happy nature. And you might have figured that out. I mean, now I'm actually truly happy. But for a long time, I had an outgoing personality, but I had this dark side. Okay, I had this darkness where I wasn't happy, and I was troubled. I was very troubled, and that's a hard thing. And yet, I wanted to be happy. I wanted to come off as happy, and I had a lot to be grateful for. So I would just push through. I would just push through the depression. I would just push through and, muddle through and have a smile on my face, even though I had this darkness and this self-hatred and just this kind of like this cloud, like Linus, that cloud over my head that went with me wherever I went. And because I so didn't want to identify with being in depression, it wasn't like the way I saw myself. What I did is I kind of ran from it. And so a lot of my busyness came from running from this darkness. I think emotional eaters are very, we're very accustomed to this darkness. It lives with us. Emotional eaters are emotional by nature. So I think this is something we're extremely familiar with, more than your average person. I mean, we're emotional eaters because we are overwhelmed by our emotions, right? And we turn to food when we're overwhelmed by our emotions. And we treat our depression and our sense of overwhelm with food. I mean, that's a lot of what's happening when we're emotionally eating. We're like self-medicating with food, right? We're thinking these chips, this bag of chips, well, we don't ever plan on eating a bag. Who says, I'm going to go eat a bag of chips? No. We have one and a handful, and we're like, that's it. And we close up the bag, and then we're like, but I want some more. So we open up the bag. So who eats a bag of chips intentionally? No. It's a one chip at a time, a handful at a time. But anyway, I always ate the whole bag. So anyway, we use these carbs, these muffins, the bars, whatever it is, we use these to medicate the feelings of depression, the pain, the fear, and the guilt. Those things are always in there. I talk about in the PEP formula. And so we're trying to treat this. And I think we do have so many emotions that they do overwhelm us, and they do transmute themselves into depression. Now, are we clinically depressed? Sometimes yes, oftentimes no. I know for myself, I never took my depressed thoughts to a doctor. In fact, when I first hit bottom many years ago and started getting help from my own emotional eating, I was starting to feel depressed, and it was right when Prozac was coming out. And I just always feel so grateful that I didn't have a word for how I was feeling. And it turns out a lot of it had to do with being an emotional eater and not treating that. And so that's the route I went instead of taking my depression to a doctor, in which case I would have been prescribed Prozac, in which case I could still be on Prozac. So praise God, I found a different way to go, and overcoming emotional eating was a big part of that. But I really want to address tips that I've used throughout my life to overcome depression, and hopefully that'll be useful to you. So really important to know that first and foremost, we need to be gentle with ourselves. Okay, when we feel these terrible, awful feelings, I think, again, emotional eaters are so hard on themselves. I think often we make matters worse by saying, like, what's the matter with me? Like, why can't I get over myself? You know, and that tendency to beat on ourselves when we have negative feelings, it's like that's gonna help, right? So we beat ourselves up for feeling depressed. And then we feel more depressed, like more powerless, more defeated. So first step is be gentle with yourself when you are in a funk or when you're feeling depressed. Like, do not add insult to injury by beating yourself up. And what does that look like? Well, for me, it looked like just like acknowledging I'm feeling depressed, acknowledging that that's what's going on, and then being like, just like you would with a friend. If you had a friend who told you she was depressed, would you start saying, what's wrong with you? Like, get over it? Of course not. You'd be a shitty friend, okay? So really important that you just treat yourself as you would your friend and say, I get it. I'm sorry you're feeling that way. Let's see what we can do about this. But you're good, and you need a lot of sweet treatment right now. And when we're depressed, we need to be gentle with ourselves and treat ourselves like very sweetly. Okay. Not easy to do. I get it. But this is your reminder now that that's what you need to do, is instead of beating on yourself and trying to, you know, like snap out of it, be super sweet to yourself, just like you would your best friend who told you she was depressed. One of the best things I've done when I felt depressed, you know, because I used to just run from it. I used to just try to keep one step ahead of it all the time, and it chased me. I started to say earlier, that's why I was so busy all the time, is I was really running from that darkness. I was trying to get away from it. And, you know, at some point you have to stop and let it catch up to you and then face it. And I'm going to tell you how I've done that here today. But running your whole life from that darkness, not a good plan. Okay. So I'm just really here to encourage you to stop and face it. And something that Roy always said about bullies, he said, you know, he said, fear is a bully and depression is a bully. And, you know, what do you do with bullies? You know, when bullies are always chasing you, you know, when you run from it, you know, the bully will continue to chase you. But if you stop one day and you turn around and you bust that bully in the mouth, guess what? That bully never chases you again. And I believe that's true with depression too, is we need to stop running from it and we need to face it. So one of the things that has helped me when I've been depressed is to move my body, okay, and exercise. And I realize it's sometimes the last thing you want to do. I'm not talking about going to the gym. I'm talking about, which I just talked about in the Secret Sauce group the other day. It was really funny. Anyway, check that out and go to the Secret Sauce group and check out my experience at the gym. But the point is, movement of any kind, and a kind especially that you feel good about. Like what I would do is I would play tennis. And tennis is a really fun sport. It's also a communal sport. You can't play tennis by yourself typically, unless you're hitting against a board. And that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about an actual game of tennis with friends or hitting the ball with friends. So you have that community aspect. You know, you're out of yourself, you're out of your house. You can't play tennis at your house, you know, real tennis. And so really, really important to do some kind of exercise that gets you out of the house, that gets you interacting with people, get your mind off of you, okay? Because the worst thing about depression is we get super self-involved and it just exacerbates the situation. So move your body, whether it's yoga, whether it's Tai Chi, whether it's, you know, a group class of some kind, you know, whatever, you know, going for a walk with a friend, perfect thing to do. Get out of the house and move your body. And I'm not talking about hurting your body with exercise. I'm talking about moving your body, feel your body move, and just engage with people at the same time. And for me, that was tennis. It was like the best antidote to depression all the time. The third thing I recommend that you do is accomplish something. And what I mean by accomplish is I mean the smallest possible thing. Okay. So much of the time when I was depressed, I couldn't do anything. I couldn't work. I couldn't go out with friends. I just, I felt so bad, and it just was so painful to do anything. I just wanted to sleep and watch TV and eat, of course. I mean, I treated my depression with food all the time. So what helped me is to set the bar really low, okay, on my day, and just say, Tricia, just do something, like just accomplish something. And sometimes it would be mailing a package at the post office, which is a hard thing to do when you're depressed. But I would make that my only thing for the day that I needed to do. And it was an accomplishment. Like if I, packaged up something I was sending to somebody, I put the address, label on, and I went to the post office and I shipped that thing out. I'm telling you, it was one thing I had done to move the needle that day. And I just tell you that helped me. So just putting just one step forward helped me so much, and not expect a whole bunch of myself. Again, being gentle with myself. One thing, Tricia, one thing that you do today, whether it's paying one bill, writing a check and sending it off, whether it's, cleaning your bathroom, or, that sounds like a huge thing to do. So cleaning a sink, taking out the trash. Just one thing that you can do to, being helpful to one person, taking some eggs over to the neighbor if she calls. Let that be all you do for the day, and let that be the accomplishment of the day. Okay. Set the bar really low and accomplish something so that you have a little sense of self-esteem and I'm moving the ball. The fourth thing, and this is a big one, you need to really tap into your creativity. And I don't know if this is true for everybody. This is what worked for me. I found, after so many bouts of depression, I found that I needed to be creative, that I am a creative person by nature. I need to be creating. And when I'm not creating, I get depressed. And this is how I have finally learned I operate. Okay, so I want you to find how you operate. And I finally noticed the pattern that when I am not creative, I am automatically sinking into depression. So my life is about creativity today. Being on this, podcast is creative for me. I'm sharing, I'm articulating, I'm creating ideas and sharing ideas. I'm performing, if you will. I'm speaking out and trying to convey a message. That's all creative work. I wrote notes before I recorded. So that's all creative for me. Whether it's writing my book was one of the most exhilarating experience of my life, because I was so massively creative. I was creating cartoons for the book, and I was creating, graphs, and I was writing and I was editing. Amazing experience. But you don't have to write a book, and it's hard to do when you're depressed, obviously. But being creative, whether it's singing, whether it's dancing, whether it's writing poetry, writing in your journal, whether it's playing an instrument, performing, and what I mean by that, I don't know. What do you like to do? You could take an improv class, something that gets you creative. What's the creative thing you like to do? Is it arts and crafts? Is it painting? I painted at one point. I took a painting class. So what is it that's creative that you can do? Because creating, I don't know what it is, but it gets the juices flowing, and it, again, makes you feel like you accomplished something. But it's also it's getting you in touch with your real self, your spiritual self. Creativity and spirituality are they're so closely related. The fifth thing is asking for help. Okay, we cannot live in a bubble or on an island. We are not meant to live this way. And I tell people that who are emotional eaters all the time. You cannot overcome emotional eating on your own. Impossible. I can't do it to this day. With the amount of recovery I have, my recovery is still one day at a time dependent on my being in community with other emotional eaters. So super important not to try to overcome the depression on your own. Really important that you ask for help, come out of your shell, acknowledge what's going on, and reach out for help. And that makes all the difference. We're so attuned or accustomed to trying to figure things out on our own. Impossible. We cannot do it. So ask for help. The sixth thing is get community. Okay. So important to be a part of community. And I don't mean a community of depressed people. You could be a community within the secret sauce group, because depression is something all emotional eaters are familiar with. But get out of yourself and become part of the community. Nobody can do this alone. Nobody can figure it out on their own. And, God meant us to be in community with one another. So take advantage of that intention and all the community that's available online, in person. Certainly we're here for you at Heal Your Hunger and in the Secret Sauce group. And the last one, which probably won't come as a surprise, is clean eating. Okay. So in order to overcome depression, in my experience, we've got to be feeding our bodies with healthy foods. And, unfortunately, depression and overeating, emotional eating, go together. So there's a good chance that your depression is being caused right now by, if you're depressed now, or you've been, by what you're eating and how much you're eating. And sometimes that's all it's caused by, in which case the solution is to stop overeating, stop emotionally eating. Now, you can't do that on your own. So let us help you with that. Let Heal Your Hunger help you. I have a very comprehensive system, a 90-day system that involves private coaching and group coaching that will completely transform your life in 90 days. So reach out if that's something you want. There's actually a link where you can have a breakthrough call with me in the show notes. A free call, and we can talk about if that's the right fit for you. But if you are overeating and you're not happy about it, that is going to contribute to your feelings of depression. If you're treating your depression with food and carbs and sugar, it's going to be so much harder to overcome it. I mean, virtually impossible, because if you're an emotional eater and you're feeling crappy about yourself and about your weight, and about not moving forward in your life because you're so stuck in the food, that's the first place to go. Let's address the emotional eating, because that is chances are that could clear up the depression completely. I mean, my clients are thrilled. I mean, they are on fire. My clients are on fire because they are stopping overeating. They're doing the self-care, they're doing all the things that it takes to overcome depression. And they might not be depressed. They might just be overcoming, with the intention of overcoming emotional eating, but it is transforming their world where depression is not even a part of it. So just know that what we're putting in our bodies and how much food we're eating, and whether we're medicating with food, that's going to have a big impact on your mood and how you feel about yourself. And overcoming that is going to be absolutely central to overcoming depression. So important. The foods we're eating, gosh, they really have a physiological impact and emotional impact, of course. I mean, we don't feel good when we're in binge mode. It's the darkest place we could possibly be. It's the worst. It's the absolute worst, binging, on carbs and sugar and fat and, whatever else we choose. It just makes us feel so bad and so, out of alignment with who we're meant to be. I mean, we're not meant to destroy ourselves with food. That's not our purpose here. We've got so much more to do in life. There's so much more life to live. So if you're feeling stuck in the food and that's affecting your mood and your self-esteem and your productivity in life, definitely, I'm here to help you with that. Sign up for a breakthrough call and let's talk about how to get you out of that. But that's my 7. Be gentle with yourself, exercise, move your body, accomplish something, one thing in the day. Be creative. Find some way to be creative that's just going to get your juices flowing and connect you with your divine spirit. Ask for help, and that includes spiritual help. Pray. Ask God for help. So important. Communication, keep those communication lines open. God wants to help you, but ask also real people for help, because God put real people in the world to help you as well. Find community so you're not doing this alone. And then clean eating. So central, to overcoming depression is overcoming emotional eating. So those are my 7 steps. These are what has helped me. There's no way I could do this on my own. And I have an amazing life because I'm still doing all these things. These are all a part of my life on a daily basis. And because of that, I wake up happy every day. I wake up happy and really filled with joy. I mean, I'm not putting it on here, gals. I'm not putting it on. I really have so much joy in my life because of these very simple steps to to overcome myself. It's not just depression. It's like I'm overcoming myself, getting out of myself. So I want this for you too. So if you haven't signed up for the Secret Sauce group on Facebook, please join us there. Please share this show with other people. Please comment in the group so we can keep the interactions going. That might be your first step towards getting out of your depression, is to jump in the group and comment. And I can't wait to see your comments and to comment back. Okay, sending you lots of love. Thank you so much for being a part of my life and for listening today and recommending the show to other people. Sending you love. Thank you so much.
If you enjoyed this podcast and want to get free support, insider health info, exclusive invites to events, and more, visit healyourhunger.com.